Welcome to Tech in the Car. I'm Oliver. I'm in Texas right now, and this is the unbelievably futuristic and brand new, beautiful Lucid Air Dream Edition Performance. There's also a Dream Edition range version. This version has 1,111 horsepower and 1,390 Newton meters of torque. You do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, and it's been geared for 205 miles per hour at 20,000 RPM from that electric motor, although it's software limited to 168 miles an hour because of the tires right now. So this is a very, very, very fast car. The Performance Edition has 471 miles of range, and the Range Edition has 520 miles of range. There's no other electric car which exists right now which has this kind of range. The range on this car is further than lots of gas-powered cars. So this is a really, really exciting bit of technology. But not only that, it has the smallest drag coefficient of any cars.
And one of the most important ways for an EV to be efficient is to make it cut through the air, to make it slippery. The more it cuts through, the lower its drag coefficient. And as we all know, drag coefficient is measured as 2 times the drag force over the mass density of the fluid times the flow speed squared times the reference area. Obviously. Can't believe I knocked that out in the first take. Anyway, Lucid have managed to make this have a drag coefficient of 0.2, which makes it the car with the lowest drag coefficient ever.
I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
This car, the Dream Edition, costs $170,000, but you can't get it. The entry-level model is going to be called the Air Pure, which is around $77,000. Then we've got the Touring, and then we've got the Grand Touring, which has over 800 horsepower. So the Dream Edition is the most advanced version that Lucid have made, and it's going to remain that way until, I guess, Lucid bring out something else. But it has real presence, and it looks fantastic. Look at this huge glass panel over the top here, and you can see it when we get inside the car and look, but this is one piece. It goes all the way along, made in Japan, which is where the best glass is made according to Lucid, and it just looks amazing. This car, not only does it have all this advanced technology, which I'm going to show you in a second, but it also is all built in-house in Arizona. So this is a made in America car, and that is something which is really, really interesting to know, and the quality is unbelievable. There are lots of people I know that have issues with their Teslas not being put together. Just looking around this car, this is attention to detail is amazing. This beautiful color is called Zenith Red, but there's also black, white, and a special gold, Eureka Gold, which is also available. And then we've got this contrast roof line. So this is something which is really, really interesting and unique, which Lucid have done. They've got this silver roof line, which goes to the back. And then at the quarter panel here actually says the model down at the bottom. This car looks really, really big, but actually it's about the size of a BMW 5 Series, even though interior-wise it's got the same space as a Mercedes S-Class, which is a much bigger car. The wheelbase is 116 inches from front to rear. It's got some touches. Maybe you can see a bit of Porsche in it. Maybe you can see a bit of Citroën, a bit of French inspiration as well, but from the future. These headlights are the smallest headlights in the world. They use an intelligent micro lens LED array, and there's actually air pressure that builds up at the front here. So Lucid have added air vents behind here to take the air out and bring it out here to reduce that pressure and reduce the drag as well of the car. And everything on here is very, very functional. And while we're at the front here, also worth noting down here, there is a sensor here. Lucid have an unbelievably advanced driver assistance system with over 32 sensors, including radar, ultrasonic, and there's even a LiDAR, which shines a laser down the road to measure the distance to cars and objects in front of the car. In fact, this car is able to be level 3 autonomous with software updates. It's got far more sensors on it than anything else. And in fact, Tesla have removed all of the sensors apart from cameras, whereas this car has got cameras and sensors and LiDAR as well. If you're not familiar with LiDAR, LiDAR is on lots of those self-driving cars that Google and Uber have been testing. They're the big things which are on top of the roof, which spin around and shoot a laser out. Well, they've made this really compact here, which is something which is very unique. Let's talk about the batteries in these cars. So this is a 118 kilowatt hour battery, which has the ability to go, as I mentioned in this model, about 471 miles. And this car also has 900 volt charging technology built in, which means that it also has a 300 kilowatt charger built into the car. So if you've got the infrastructure to connect this car up, this car can actually charge 200 miles of range in 10 minutes, which is amazingly fast. In 5 minutes, you get about 100 miles, which is similar to what you get from a typical petrol or gas car. This car can do it, but this has got more performance and more torque than any other car. This car has 1,390 Newton meters of torque, which is where it really shines, because if you're overtaking above 60 miles an hour, it means that you have far more torque and far more power to overtake than anything else, which means that when driving, you have a better experience. Lucid say this car has been designed for driving experience, and then the environmental credentials are just an extra benefit that you get being an electric car. This car really does drive like a sports car. Let's just talk about the wheels for a second. This car has 19s on it, but you can also get 20 and 21-inch designs if that's what you're after. The 19-inch wheels give a better ride quality, which is one of the benefits that you can get. So one of the cool things about this car is how the handles pop out when you press on the key twice. They pop out like this, and then you can open the car very easy. I love these pop-up handles, and then soft close as well. And then this key is very interesting as well. It's basically a little shape of a car, looks a bit like a boomerang maybe, and then you press it once to lock. 2 presses will unlock the car, and then if you long hold it, it will open the Frunk. Let's talk about the Frunk now. This car has 202 liters of space in the front here, which is powered and automatic, which opens like this using the key. Powered Frunk is really cool. There's actually a little button inside here so you can close it as well. The 202 liters of space here are very big, and it also has an adjustable floor, so there's a lot more space down here as well. This is a huge Frunk, and the reason why this is possible is because of the motors. The motors that Lucid have made fit in this space here. They're basically about this size. They can fit in your carry-on luggage, and they are miniaturized, and it's intelligent design by Lucid, which means you got all this space here. With the powered front opening as well, it means that you can put stuff in here and still have your boot available to you, which we'll have a look at in a second. So anyway, press the button and it will close down. Let's talk the rear design of the Lucid Air. So first things first, you'll notice we have this light bar all the way across. This is the biggest light bar in the automotive industry right now. When you press the lock button, you can see the indicators are really narrow here at the back. At the front, they're vertical. At the back, they're horizontal. And then if we open the back of the car here, we've got a clamshell design back here, which means there's a really wide opening, which means there's lots of space to slide things in. It isn't a hatchback. It may look like a hatchback, but it isn't. But this is a really wide opening, and there's 456 liters of space back here. We've, of course, got a floor which comes up of the back here, which has got nice and deep. Put my arm all the way in here. So there's lots of space. And an interesting fact to note, you'll notice these here are brake lights. And the reason why there are brake lights there is because US law says that the brake lights cannot be on a moving part of the rear of a vehicle. So when the boot is up, these are the brake lights. When the boot goes down, then the normal position becomes the brake lights. So how much space is there inside the Lucid Air? Well, I am actually, honestly, astounded by the amount of space there is in this car. As I mentioned before, it's got a 116-inch wheelbase, which means it's got the same interior space as a Mercedes S-Class, even though the car is actually similar in size to a 5 Series. And you can see the amount of space. I'm about 178, and you can see how much space I have to my knees to the seat in front, how much space I have to this panoramic glass roof above me. It is just so comfortable and so spacious back here. It is a huge surprise, a very good surprise. You could easily carry people in comfort in the back here. In fact, part of me wants to sit in the back myself and be driven around, considering how comfortable it is. And then we have all the little details. The build quality in here is incredible. We've got the Alcantara on the head lining. We've got these materials on the back, which go with the California theme, because this is themed on Santa Monica, and each Lucid model is themed on a different part of the USA. These seats are so comfortable. They feel really nice. We've got the perforated leather here. We've got airline style places for you to put stuff in front of the back seats. And there's little California bears as well on the car, because Lucid is based out of California, even though all the cars are made in Arizona, so they all have little bears on them all over the car. Other things on the interior, we've got sun shades built into the doors and the back, which I can press this button here, and the sunshade will go up automatically, and then down again. And the back is exactly the same, which can be controlled by this screen in the middle, which allows me to adjust settings. This allows me to put up the back shade, put it down, and also turn the heated seats on and off at the back here. Very, very nice. We've got the little air vents too on the inside here, which are covered in metal as well. It's just a beautiful, beautiful interior. It really is quite something. It's very, very special back here. Huge, huge kudos to Lucid for doing this back here. It really is quite something. In terms of seating space, obviously you can see my knees are quite high up. The floor is quite high in here because it does have a 118 kilowatt hour battery under here. In the entry-level models, which come with an 88 kilowatt hour battery, that will actually have more space for you to put your feet lower down because there'll be less batteries. So that's an interesting bit of design which Lucid have done back here. So awesome back here. Let's get in the front and see what that's like now. Welcome inside the Lucid Air Dream Edition. So the interior of this car is really quite something to look at. I mean, the interior is just beautiful. I'm going to say that again. I've said it many, many times. I think this encapsulates modern design and luxury at the same time, from this floating 34-inch 5K display, which is actually made out of 3 separate displays, which I'll talk about in a second, to this floating display here, which you can end up moving away by swiping up like that. And then you've got a massive space here where you can store stuff, and then you can tap it and it'll come back again. We've got different colored front seats and rear seats. The front seats here are this sort of gray color, and they've got Lucid in the headrests. And again, very, very, very comfortable in here. We've got an Alcantara on the dashboard here. We've got leather behind that. We've got this wooden grain in the middle. We've got the aluminium running along the inside. And again, this weave here. It's quite something to behold in this car. It really, really is. And then look at these buttons here, something of an unusual move from Lucid, but we have temperature control buttons, up and down, and fan buttons. Yes, it's not all done on the display. There are actual buttons for it as well. And then let's talk about the steering wheel. So there's been a lot of contentiousness about the steering wheel on the Model S Plaid. Now, personally, I'm all for yokes. I am a yoke lover. I don't know if that's a joke or not, but I love modern new changes in technology, and I love flying, hence why I'm out here in Texas right now filming this car. And so for me, having a car with a yoke as a steering wheel makes me feel like I'm flying an aeroplane. I don't mind. But Lucid have done something very, very interesting with their steering wheel. There's a little doubt about that. This steering wheel takes a classic design and updates it for the modern era. This is a bit like, I consider this car to be a bit like a modern masterpiece, if I'm honest with you. And we've got this steering wheel, which is squared off at the bottom, just like sporty cars have. Let's not talk about the 2022 Audi RS3 with the driver assistance package, but this has got a really nice steering wheel. I love these little buttons here, these little knobs, which look a bit like classic light controls or something maybe on an old lamp, which allow you to adjust the settings. So on the left here, we have our driver assistance. Remember, the Dream Drive Assistance System, which I think is what it's called. We've got over 32 sensors, including ultrasonic. We've got tons of cameras. I counted, I think there's 10 or 11 cameras around the outside of the car as well. How many cameras are there on the Lucid Air? Let's have a look. So there are over 32 different systems for driver assistance. So how many cameras are there on the Air? So first of all, here's one camera, that's one. There's another camera here, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then in the middle here, there are 3, 9, 10, 11, so 11 cameras. Plus we have LiDAR 2. This lets you turn it on, this lets you set the distance, and then this lets you turn it off, and then you can control the amount of distance by turning the little button here. On the right-hand side, we've got our volume, our controls, which are here again on the little wheel, and then forward, backwards, and our voice control. Very, very simple and easy to use. When you complement it with the buttons here for climate control, it means that I can very, very easily adjust it. So off, on. So these buttons mean I can adjust the climate control, I can turn the fan up, I can turn the fan down, I can adjust the temperature, and then I can use this to adjust the volume of the infotainment. Again, actual physical buttons inside the car, and then we can actually control the air vents using physical buttons. If I had maybe one little complaint here, these do feel a bit plasticky. They could probably do with being metal. But other than that, that's the only thing I would say about this. Now, the other cool thing about this car is, and what I like about touchscreens, is the ability to add and remove buttons. Lucid have done something very, very interesting. On the left here, this little panel here actually is buttons on a touchscreen. This lets you control your demisting for the front and rear of the car, and your windscreen wipers, and open and close the charging port, and unlock it, and the windows as well. There's lots of functionality there, and this is really, really clever because it means Lucid can change the buttons in software if they want to. So now I know that some people might have the complaint that certain things are hard to control. For example, I can't adjust the wing mirrors here without going into the settings on here, which is a bit fiddly. We have our steering wheel and mirror controls here. Mirror as well. Then we have the ability to adjust our seats here and do our climate control. Obviously, we can control this also from up here because we've got physical buttons here for turning on the air conditioning as well. And the other thing you can do here is if we go into media up here, I can slide the media down to the bottom so it can be adjusted here, and then I can slide it back up here for the driver. Very, very, very cool. There is a fantastic camera system. And then we can go into our awesome camera system, which allows you to see your reverse up there, front, rear, and zoom in and zoom out, which I've never seen before. And then down here, we've got our 360 view that I can move the car around and see what's around us. Very, very, very cool. We have 3 drive modes: smooth, swift, and sprint, which gives you the full 1111 horsepower. We've got our trunks and locks, able to open the boot, the glove box as well. Up here we can go into our seat settings, which then allows me to adjust my seat. And when I swipe over to the driver, you can see the seat is facing the opposite direction, which is pretty cool. And I can move it forwards and backwards and adjust lots of individual settings, which I wouldn't be able to adjust otherwise. We've then got massage, and we've got very nice massage options here. We've then got our themes, where you can go through escape, space, solitude, serene, wonder, and inspire. And then our charging options here as well, which lets you also precondition the battery. Again, I love this glass panoramic roof above my head. We've got our visors here. If you want to have a more epic view, then maybe you want to do that with the visor. Lucid say that it has to, by US law, have them attached here like this. Tesla have done it differently. However, who knows what is correct and what isn't correct, but it's a minor little thing. There's also lighting down here, which reminds me of a Bugatti Chiron. Yes, you've got lighting up here as well. All in all, this is a really, really beautiful interior. There's space here, and we've got a wooden solid panel, which, and I don't want to be stealing Dr. Muro's thunder here, but it disappears and it's unclear where it goes because there's no space behind here. There is actually another space here if you're putting stuff in, and we've got 2 cup holders in the middle here, and then there's wireless charging inside here as well, and this amazing vanishing wooden cover. What a beautiful, beautiful interior, and what a beautiful, beautiful car as well. One other thing which is really, really cool is the door handles on this car. They're like little triggers, and you pull them and then the door opens. And don't forget, these are soft close as well. So that's my first look around the beautiful Lucid Air Dream Edition performance. Hope you enjoyed the video. I filmed it here at Alara Garage in Houston, Texas, where they have over 400 cars stored in a climate controlled environment. So if you're looking for somewhere to store your cars, please give them a visit. and give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more on the channel. Thank you very much.